I think for Brad, it's got to just feel incredible because you've put everything into this. You've staked your reputation as a driver and as a business person in making RFK work. And it's one thing to see the other car. Chris Buescher's had success last year and won races, but to finally get it for himself after the quote earlier in the year of we're not here for second place finishes, and today it just finally felt like the instant validation of, no, you're not, Brad. You're not here to finish second. You're in victory lane. You've finally got the stuff. You've got everything built around you. And I don't know. Does this snowball into more success for RFK? I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's got to feel great just to at least have one under his belt to let him know that, hey, this is going in the right direction.
Especially, like you said, Chris Buescher's won the last 2 seasons, but the Bristol won in 2022. And then last year he had that back-to-back race, just kind of come out of nowhere party where he won 2 races and you go, RFK is here to stay. Yeah, for Brad Keselowski to get that, moment where, hey, we can do this too. It's not just Chris Buescher. We can do it too. I'm not just the guy that's going to push you. I can win. It's great to see because not only that, you look at this top 10 and even the top 5, half of the top 10 was Fords. 3 of the top 5 were Fords. Kevin Harvick said this interesting thing on his podcast last week where apparently at Kansas, Ford brought some new engines to the track. And, Chris Buescher obviously ran P2 last week. You've had Noah Gragson come through with top 10s until this week. You've seen Stuart Haas kind of uptick a little bit in their performance. Even front row, you saw Todd Gilliland have really good speed in the first 2 stages. Even Justin Haley ran 8th for a while today, I'm just saying, Ford, for all this doomsday talk we've had, and this podcast has been on the same trend of it, they are trending in the right direction. And whether it's new horsepower in these engines or they've fiddled with some kind of aero, they are getting better. And we did the same thing last year where Ford hadn't won anything, and we look and they've swept the championship series. Maybe we have something similar to that, but I mean, man, the fact that we've seen the performance uptick the last 2 weeks now at oval tracks, that's got to be something encouraging for those blue ovals, right?
Absolutely. I think any sort of success, was going to do at any level, let alone Cup. I think having it come at the Cup level is big, just because I think it kind of really radiates all the way through all of the Ford programs. But yeah, I thought it was interesting, with the new engines, like you said, that Harvick brought up on his podcast. It's good to see that they aren't complacent. I think it really, I think I've said it a couple of times on this podcast. NASCAR is better when there's more, when more OEMs are successful and it's not just a Chevy versus Toyota battle. And to see Ford kind of come roaring back here and to have such a good day at one of NASCAR's premier tracks at Darlington, a place that has oftentimes, the best drivers win because it's a track that takes a lot of skill to get around. And for them to do it here, to get a win at Darlington, where they say, look, we know we have the drivers to get this done. I mean, look, you got Josh Berry in 4th today. I think third, I believe. Sorry. I'm not 3rd or 4th. I'm not sure at this point. I'm just going to keep doing it. But I just think this is huge. This is so big for Ford as an OEM to just finally get going in the right direction. It just feels like there's really nowhere to go but up from here. Am I right?
Yeah, I would like to think so, because part of the going up is they were on the floor. The bar was on the ground. So every little uptick in performance is a trend up. I mean, they can't go any worse than what they've started to go 0-32. And obviously there's been multiple photo finishes we've talked about. Ty Majeski was close to winning on Friday night in the Truck Series. It's not because they've just been completely off the pace, but the consistency hasn't been there. And especially from these flagship teams like Penske. Joey Logano's struggles have been well noted this year in the Cup Series. It's guys like that are usually a good barometer for success with the Ford flagship teams. And it hasn't been there. So for someone like Brad Keselowski and RFK to now back-to-back weeks to show really, really good speed at oval tracks that are really the bread and butter of NASCAR as far as, you've got a little bit of a leg up on your competition, not these cookie cutter super speedways that Ford has, put together the last few years. Absolutely. I agree. It's got to be a trend in the right direction and something to be looking forward to. And like I said, we might be looking at Phoenix here in November and going, man, Ford just swept the weekend. How did that happen?
Yeah, and I think what's crazier for me is that, like you said, to have it be Brad Keselowski, I think, is also another little wrinkle to this, because it's not Joey Logano, it's not Ryan Blaney, it's not the last two Ford champions that got this first win. It's Brad Keselowski, and I think that is one of those things that it should give people confidence to the fact that, look, it's not just it's not just the big boys, it's not just the guys who have had success in the next gen era. There finally seemed to, I'm not sure what the adjustment was with the engine, but the speed finally seems to be there, because the arrow always seemed like it was kind of there with with the super speedway stuff, but it just seems like they're finally headed in the right direction.
And this is just me putting a tinfoil hat on before we go to the next subject, but Ford, especially with their engine providers, what are their engine providers? Roush is one of their engine providers. So if anyone's going to see the uptick in success right away, it's going to be RFK. They are at the advantage of that. So the fact that RFK has seen that speed in 2 weeks in a row when they brought new engines, I don't think that's really I don't think that's anything to kind of raise your nose about. I think that's probably something that we can watch moving forward. If anyone's going to be the strong Ford team, it might be RFK moving forward, just because they're going to see the results in their engines quicker than you see it kind of trickle down through the Ford ladder. I don't know. That's something to watch.